Hi everyone, Janine here from the Book Publishing Academy. We are here on the Book Publishing Academy podcast, and we have a very special guest. Her name is Marissa Rodriguez, and she is one of the anthology authors of our book, Warriors of Hope Voices That Inspire. Thank you so much for being here, Marissa.
Thank you for having me, Janine.
I'm super excited to dive in deeper with her. She has been one of my really good friends for a couple of years, and she has gone through so many different things in her life. And I'm excited for us to just sit down and chat more on what inspired Marissa to be a part of the anthology book. So, share a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are.
Sure. So I grew up here in Phoenix, Arizona area, and I have worked in higher education the majority of my career. I moved to Austin, Texas for a period of 5 years. I came back, and then I think just because of how things had shaped up with my life, it prompted me to um, become a digital nomad for a period of time. I have been going through a healing process for the last couple of years, and I feel like that's been changing me a lot. And it was one of the reasons I decided to be a part of this anthology is to share what it is that I'm learning. I started to recognize some patterns, and I just started to get exposed to more information about why things occurred the way that they did in my life. And I felt compelled to share that with other people. So that is kind of what led me to be a part of this. And yeah, it's just been kind of life-changing where I'm currently at now. So I wanted to be able to share that with other people.
I love it. I think one of the things that resonated with me when I read your chapter is that we pretty much went through similar processes of like, okay, I need to sit down and I need to actually assess what happened in my life. Like, what happened over the
Yeah.
past 10, 15 years? Why? How did I contribute? How did other people contribute? How did alcoholism contribute? So I think people are going to get so much out of your story. What do you hope people will get from your chapter?
Mm. Um, a little bit of enlightenment because I think when I was in the thick of things, I didn't know anything about anything at that point. So I couldn't connect the dots. And it wasn't until somebody shared with me, hey, I think you're with the narcissist. I hadn't even really, at that time too, I hadn't even really heard that word. Like it just was not part of conversations I was having with people, was not anything I was exposed to. And that definitely started to send me down a rabbit hole. And had that person like never said that word, I never would have started to start understanding that. And then once I started to understand, oh, this last person I was with was that, it just had me to keep unpacking. And the more I started unpacking, the more I started to understand. So I think there's this level of education that people need in order to be able to start understanding what's happening. And unless you get exposed to that, it's just this black hole. And you just look at the world like, why is this happening to me? How is this happening? And then, like where I'm at now, I've been able to figure out the root cause. And I have then traced that to every scenario. And it just makes so much sense now. And I understand why. I mean, I have more clarity on why some of these things have happened now, but it wouldn't have happened had I not started to educate myself around this.
Yeah. And it's very true that once you start educating yourself, it's like you go down this rabbit hole and then you can't
Yep.
stop. But it
Yep.
helps so much in understanding what you've been through. What was your writing process like? Was there any part where you were like, this is too much emotionally for me to share?
It was very heavy. I, I'll also say that I currently go to trauma therapy. I've been going to trauma therapy now for about 2 years, and I get the same feeling. Like every time I have my therapy session, it's deep and I leave almost always crying and it's just really heavy. So every time I was gonna sit down to write this, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to. I already knew it was gonna be like kind of the same feeling where it's just really heavy. Um, and so it was one of those things that I had to really motivate myself to keep like pushing through the writing process. And almost always every time I kind of gave myself a goal of like writing each little section, I probably end up crying afterwards because
Mhm.
it's just things that I'm not at the point anymore where I'm completely ignoring and compartmentalizing. Like that's how I used to be. So I've acknowledged have worked through a lot of it, but it more so made me sad of like what I went through and you just have to really put yourself in your shoes back in those times to really draw out the emotions, the feelings, you know, and so that it was just kind of like feeling sad for my older self. I
Mm.
think was more so what I was going through, but I knew that pushing through all of that was going to help other people like to maybe recognize patterns that they are in or recognize something that they've experienced. And that definitely pushed me through. It's like thinking about others and the benefit that it could provide by working through my own emotions.
But I do think that every time we work through it and we cry through it and we have to revisit it and revisit that younger part of ourselves, it heals something in us, you know? Even though
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sucks. But it does heal something in us that maybe we suppressed because we were drinking alcohol or because we were just going
Yeah.
out with friends and not wanting to deal with it. Um,
Absolutely.
what has your experience been with this anthology book, working with a community of authors?
I think it's nice to know that you're not alone in it. And it's like I always knew that. Um, I knew that there's so many of us that have gone through these traumatic situations. And I think maybe too, because I've also gone through it. I don't know if maybe that means that I've also attracted some of that. Like I feel like I have met several people in my life that have had not the same exact situation, but they have also gone through some traumas. And um, so it was just nice to know that we are kind of going through this together and that if needed, we can lean on each other. I struggled a little bit because I've kind of built myself to deal with this stuff on my own. So I'd say that, that definitely came out a little bit, but it was nice to know that there were other people here at a moment's notice that I could reach out to if I needed that like extra push or um, just understanding of what we were going through together to write this.
And what's great is you're going to meet everyone at the event too, so it
Yeah,
just
I'm
makes it
very
that
excited
much
about that.
more real. How has this project influenced your confidence, your storytelling, your voice, and even your purpose moving forward now as an author?
It's still a work in progress because I still can't really believe that I did this. Like it's still like resonating with me and I'm still marinating with it. Um I've always been kind of shy. I'm not somebody who likes to be in the public eye. So even like on my Instagram account, I'm not out there doing videos and I don't like attention. And so this is something that's very uncomfortable for me because of that. Um, and so I need to like get over some of that to start even promoting this, which I plan to. But yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle for me because of my I mean, really it's insecurities of like really just kind of putting myself out there. What I know to be true that I have to keep reminding myself is like this will help other people. So I need to like kind of push past that and just kind of start putting it out there. But I think it's a huge accomplishment. After I wrote my chapter, because you don't really ever take a moment to like sit down and like write about yourself or like really think about the summary of essentially your life and your experiences. Like I did feel very proud of where I'm at now. Like it's just, I mean, you've seen the evolution. So there's a very clear distinction of who I used to be and who I am today. It's black and white. And so it's really cool to be on this side of it and then to be able to share that with other people.
And you get to do it in a group setting, so it's not like you're alone. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
That
agree.
doing it alone can be a little bit more intimidating, but it's like, okay, I
Definitely.
can kind of, I'll be in a group. And
Yeah.
one thing I want to highlight too, at the beginning when you first signed up, you were like, yep, I'm ready, let's go. And then I could feel you were hesitant and you were like, well, and like this and like that. And I'm like, girl, you're doing it. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get on a call, you know?
Yeah.
But there, I could tell there was like moments where you were just like, did I really just do this? Did I really sign up for this?
Yeah.
But I'm so
I
happy
had
that
that
you.
moment of like motivation, like when I just said like just do it. Like sometimes with things I'm like I just think of it like ripping it off like a band-aid, but then it settles in. And I'm like, "Oh my God, what did
You're
I
like, did I
just
do that?
do?"
But
Yeah.
I'm happy that you actually went through with it because you could have quit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But um, what would you say to a person that's reading your chapter that maybe resonates with your story or is going through a similar experience? What would you tell that person right now?
Hmm. I mean, the culmination of my story is how what I really found was my relationship with God. And that was what helped with a lot of my healing. I think I would love others to know that God is here, God is real. There's been some stuff that's happened. Like I always knew God was there. I honestly resented God, like
Man.
fully transparent. I didn't trust God. I resented God. I had a lot of negative feelings towards God because of the things that had happened in my life. And so I had to kind of work through all of that. And now that I've been open to God and his presence and what I know to be true, like I've had certain things that have happened that I'm like, there's literally no doubt in my mind that God exists. Like there's just certain things where like God, I've had encounters with God that it's just like it is like absolutely real. And I know that not everybody feels that way and not everybody has those same beliefs, but that was why I wanted to really share that through my story because I can't help but to express that when God has very clearly shown up for me and has helped me to get to this like level of peace that I have never experienced in my entire life. And so I think my hope is that this opens people up to that from somebody who was not going to church, who was not all about, God and honestly just felt negatively towards him. It went from that to now I'll talk about it from the rooftops because I can't deny it. And so I want people to feel the peace that I'm feeling because there's nothing else that's like that. And there's nothing else, like even me going to trauma therapy, that helped a lot. Like I do feel like that started to like alleviate the pressure. It started to release the steam of all of the stuff that we have that like builds up inside of us that we've been compartmentalizing, that we've been pushing down, we don't address. It definitely helped, but it wasn't the only thing that like allowed me to feel this like level of peace. And so I was kind of able to distinguish the difference between those two forms of what would you call that? Healing mechanisms. I don't know. Like it and so that's kind of what I want to get across in my story.
That's good. And I can relate because I was the same way. I would get so angry. Like, why
Hmm.
are you having me go through this? I
Hmm.
thought that you were here with me. I thought that you wanted the best for me. I was angry with God and so upset. But once you tap in, you'll see
Yeah.
that his wrath is so much bigger than ours and anything that we could ever do. And he was with us the whole time. The whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful message to leave your readers. What's next for you after this anthology? Anthology, do you plan on writing more, speaking, advocacy work?
Um, I'm still trying to figure that out. I do know that God is kind of redirecting me. So I had mentioned that I had been like a digital, I would say a part-time digital nomad is kind of how I expressed it. And so I was kind of coming back and forth with traveling internationally. I realized that God was calling me away from that. So that's something that I mean, this is like new revelations, and I'm still kind of like sitting with it and just acknowledging it because that is something that I did really enjoy. But I'm no longer going to be doing that. And I do feel like I'm kind of right now in the crossroads where God is like leading me somewhere different. I just don't know exactly where that's at, but I know that I kind of need to sit still to kind of figure that piece out.
That's
So that's the space that I'm in right now. So I will be retiring as a part-time digital nomad and kind of waiting to see where God leads me next.
But you had a great run. Like you did it for a
I
couple of
did.
years. So and you went to a lot
Yeah.
of places, so I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but that's great. You know that something new is coming. So
Yeah.
sitting still is
Absolutely.
always the best. It's
I'm
like a
here for the
waiting
season of
season.
change. Definitely. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see where this takes me, and then we'll see like where this goes next. I think like this is where, all of the things that we experience comes into purpose because we can then share that with other people to learn and grow from. So, yeah, I see that this is like one of those steps in this new direction.
I am so loving this for you. Where can our listeners and viewers reach you if they would like to get in contact with you?
You can find me at Latin Explorer, so LatinXplorer, which now I'm kind of like, I feel like I almost need to change my handle because I'm no longer exploring, but I'm kind of in the midst of like kind of adjusting where I'm wanting to use the direction of my social media. So to be
Perfect.
continued.
To be continued. Well, thank you so much, Marissa, for joining us. And if you guys are tuning in, if you're in the Phoenix Valley, we are hosting our anthology book event on October 4th at Testal Mexican Kitchen from 4 to 6 o'clock. We would love to see you there. We're going to have all of the authors there. We're going to read excerpts from our book. We're going to sell books, sign them. It's going to be a great time, and you'll get to have tacos with us as well. So, if you're in the Phoenix Valley, we would love to see you there. And thank you so much, Marissa, for joining us. I'm just so proud of you from where you were to where you've become now, and for being a part of this anthology book, even though you were a little skeptical at the beginning. And I can't wait to see what God does in your life. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And guys, if you're tuning in, make sure that you like, subscribe, leave a comment, share with a friend, and we will see you on the next episode of the Book Publishing Academy podcast. Bye.
Thank you.